You know, there is room for argument for a lot of things. And it's very, very seldom that you have everybody, particularly in the community, everybody agreeing on something. Well, we're going to talk about a subject today that everybody agrees on because that subject is education. When I say everybody agrees on it, I mean as it relates to the importance of education and the role that it plays in every facet of our lives, and also what it means to the economic, political, social, spiritual, financial development in our community. Well, if education is so important, then that it means to me, it just seems to me, and I ain't too bright sometimes, it seems to me that and if in fact education can have this kind of impact, then it seems to me that all of us need to make ourselves a committee of one and of many to do all that we can do to make sure that education works in our community, because it's very important. It affects everything, just like I said, even crime, you know, and development and industry. Everything that you can name, you know, is affected by education. So I'm so happy today to have with me Miss Thelma Bibb, Dr. Thelma Dillard, who's the president of the Bibb County Board of Education, and we're going to have this fireside chat. But you know, let me tell you something. We want, at the end of this, first of all, we're hopeful that everybody is motivated, you know, to do something. Everybody can do something. We all know it needs improvement. We all know what is going on, but we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to dwell on what can happen now to improve education in our community, and from which everybody will benefit. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, and as I said, I got Dr. Thelma Bibb Dillard, and I said Bibb because I knew her before she was a Dillard. We go that far back, and it's just so good to see you. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for having me today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming. And congratulations. I think, you know, that they chose the right one.
Thank you.
To head up our Board of Education. So I just want to talk about, you know, first of all, let's talk first, since that's the hottest issue. Let's talk about our new superintendent.
Okay, that is kind of a hot issue. It's a new issue. We have been waiting we've gone 2 years without a superintendent. And it's time, and we are ready to bring in our new superintendent. We have very good feelings about him and what he plans to do. He's highly qualified. He has done an outstanding job in Griffin, Georgia, as the superintendent of schools there. Matter of fact, he grew up in Griffin. He went to high school there. He came back, he was military for 20 years, came back, ROTC instructor. He has had so many things he's done, and then he was moved up to assistant principal, and then they chose a superintendent. And they talked about, you know, how smart he is. They wanted to stay there, they like him, and they said, we have a great asset, and it's good to hear those wonderful things about him. His experience as a colonel in the military is going to contribute to us greatly in terms of helping with discipline and helping our young boys. And so we're really excited about him coming aboard. The Board of Education has selected him, we voted on him, and now we are looking forward to him coming to help move our school system forward.
There are a lot of initiatives, I think, that are going on, and I really applaud the board's effort in just trying to, you know, see to it, you know, to improve our graduation rate, and, you know, and to affect in a positive manner the discipline, you know, that we have, you know, in some of the classrooms. So what are some of the goings on with the board as it relates to the kind of programs and activities that are going on?
Well, a couple of things, initiatives we have here. One is a PBIS, and that's one of the programs that our new superintendent has in his school. And PBIS is a positive intervention system, whereby, and that's new and it rolled out a few months ago. And what it does is it reaches that child where they are, whatever the problem is. You try to follow through and find out what the problem is, why the problem is, so you can intervene with that child's problem. And rather than just kicking them out of school and put them in detention, what is it we can do for this child? And what is it that's causing him to or her to interact or act the way they act? PBIS is a really wonderful program, and we're looking forward to carrying it on out with him. So we're talking about positive behavior interventions, how we can improve in a positive way that child's behavior. So we have a great coordinator of that program, and we're looking forward to it just completely rolling out into positive aspects for our school system. Another initiative we have is a truancy program. That just rolled out several months ago. And with that, a car was purchased. The person over that program will be going around checking on our kids who are not in school. Long time ago, like
yeah,
you went way back there.
Yeah, I did that. I almost called his name because that was a truant officer.
A truant officer. He was for years.
Yes, we were afraid of him. He would come and check on us.
Afraid of him. Well, the person we have on that program now, she's pretty good at too. And she's going to be going to communities, checking on our kids and our parents, finding out why that child is not at school, what's happening with that child. These initiatives here can offer incentives for our parents so that they'll know that we are out there working with them. Why Johnny didn't come to school today, and try to find ways that we can help that child, get that child in school. If that child's not in school, that child can't learn. That's what our truancy program is going to do. That's a good program. And the PBIS also, because now we're trying to find out why this child behaving the way they are, and the positive intervention to help that child in whatever is happening with them. So those are two initiatives right there. But I do want to point out to our audience about the role that we play as board members, because oftentimes people don't know. People call me about jobs, they call me when something happens to a child at school. That's not really our role per se, the superintendent's role. Our role as board members, number one, is to appoint a superintendent, and we just did that. Secondly, our role is to approve a budget. We have to do that. And we are to make policy. And the policy governs how the school system goes. We make policy, and the superintendent carries out, implement those policies. And so that's how it runs. Everything else, the superintendent runs the school system. We hire that superintendent, that's our job, to run a school system and make sure our children learn, make sure our children are achieving. And we are there to help in doing that, helping put that money together so that we can have money and funds. And by the way, as we talk about funds and a budget, we're in the process of budgeting now. We're looking at a preliminary budget. We have a little shortfall with the budget now. We are having, and I'm not sure how much you're familiar with, the charter schools coming up. This is a news trend. Last year we had an ACE. The board approves, then it goes through the state. If the board doesn't approve, the state still will approve it if they follow all the channels. We have ACE that started last year. This year we have another charter school that's going to come up in the Pleasant Hill neighborhood. It's called Macon Academy. Both of those schools combined, there are approximately 1,800 students as of this school year. We just got the numbers yesterday. Those students, we have to send the money to them. The state sends each child a certain amount of money, and that money goes wherever the child is. So that money is coming out of our school, and it's going to wherever those children are. So that takes a lot of money away from our operations, but we have to do that. That child is still our child.
Right.
And we are still accountable for those children to make sure they get educated. So that takes money out of the public school system. So our monies, our reserves, our fund balance are now beginning to diminish. And we're going to have to find ways to increase our revenue so that we can continue to carry on the education that we should have for our children. And so I understand there are some more charter schools that are coming up. They're becoming a trend now. And so whenever that child leaves our school to go over wherever that school is, then we will have to pay the money, send that money to that child. So those are some things that are going on now with us. Another trend, another thing that has just happened to us. We voted last night for the operational system of the school system. Every school system in the state of Georgia has to vote on an operational system. And there are three. We chose one last night. One is the so-called status quo, one is charter system, and one is the IE square. Last night, the school system chose the IE square, which is investing in educational excellence. And it was a unanimous vote by the board. We chose that system because that system is the best fit for our children and our school system. And one of the things that's really good about it, it has waivers. There's a lot of flexibility in that plan. And we need that flexibility because we can target individual schools for achievement, in each school academic achievement. This program allows us to be able to do that. This model allows us to be able to do that. It's the fit for our system. So last night was the vote. The next thing that we're going to do in this process is to send a letter of intent. And in the next few days, I'm sure the superintendent's going to send a letter of intent. That is our intent to go with IE square. After that, then we have to start developing our application, all the things that we plan to do to improve our school system. If we don't match up or meet up to the expectations of the state, there are consequences. The one good thing about this plan is flexibility, but with more flexibility, there's more accountability. And so we're going to have to be accountable for everything that we say we're going to do. And so we're looking forward to that. And with our new superintendent coming on board, we know he's already has this particular model that he can help us as we put all of this together. So this is what we're looking forward to. So this is not only a new initiative, this is a change of our entire school system. Why are we doing this? The State Department of Education said by June 30th, every school system has to submit to the State Department of Education what your plan is. And we're required to do this. Why are we doing it? Because, again, having been in education, or still in it in a sense, education. There are 50 states in the state of Georgia, and the state in the United States, and the state of Georgia stayed to the bottom all these years. And the State Department of Education, the governor is saying, unacceptable. I want to see what you're going to do to improve education. So they came up with this, that all the schools in the state of Georgia are to improve the educational system. And they came up with this plan. And we have to follow through with what they asked us to do. And that's what we are going to do. Everybody's going to do it. And if you don't follow through, and if you don't meet the expectations, consequences are, they say, one is they can send a system in, an agency in, to take over your school system. Or they can move you to another model. You can move to the charter model. One of the things about the charter model that I personally, I can't speak for the board, that I personally did not care for, and that was because they have their own self-governance team. And they govern, they have their own body just like the school system. They cannot do anything to supersede what the school board does. But they have their own little system at their schools, and they make decisions. So I didn't feel that that was a good plan for me personally, for our system. And I like this also, that we had hearings throughout the community. We listened to parents and students and stakeholders and community people and teachers and administrators, and they all came together and they came back and they shared with us. We did surveys, and the superintendent looked at all those surveys and submitted them to us, and they were thinking like we were thinking. And I went to those hearings and they were good. They asked good questions. Right. Parents did, right. The stakeholders did. This is how we arrived at this decision. Right. And it was well thought out through our hearings, and now the planning is going to begin. Wow. So this, not an incentive, this is what the state says you're going to do. This changes our whole educational system in Bibb County.
Wow. That is so exciting and challenging.
It's challenging.
Of course.
Yes, very challenging.
Yeah. So there really are a lot of challenges as it relates to education. And, you know, test scores are important, and graduation rates are important, and freedom of choice, I guess, for want of a better expression, is important. But, you know, once you look at it, you know, when you have these dynamics, the objective of the Board of Education is to present a better picture and to do better and to have a better impact. But I'm not sure, you know, how the establishment of certain charter schools, what kind of effect that may have on the regular public schools that are not charter, because what you want to do is you need all kinds of students to help, you know, show some improvement. And I'm not sure, you know, that generally the whole educational system as it relates to test scores and graduation rates are going to be improved with this new scenario. But be that as it may, these young people still have to be educated, and much needs to be done to uplift the community from that perspective. And so what can the community do? You know, what can the community do? Organizations, churches, parents, you name it. Because we're all in this together. What can we do to try to address this issue?
Well, one of the things that's very important to do, and that's happening now, and that is those schools that have low test scores and who have challenges. And we want to start at elementary levels. Very important that our organizations, and some organizations are doing that. There are some churches doing it. Mine is, we have adopted the Ingham School. What we would like to see, what I would like to see as an individual board member, I'm speaking for me, more organizations and churches adopting those schools. We get so many inner city schools that are in poverty. And those babies need to be developed at very early ages. You can always tutor, volunteer. We have a volunteer program. Volunteer to go to those schools and help those students read. Help with after-school programs. You could always offer some type of donations for things that they're doing at their schools. It's so much to be done. Pick a school. Decide what school you would like to help. Because you have to go to the board. You know, they want to check you out. We don't want just anybody going in our schools. So we have a volunteer program, and then you can adopt a school through your organization, or you can call the board and get involved with the volunteer program. But every school has its needs, and every one of them would love to have some support. There are some churches and organizations who donate money for field trips. Wonderful thing. My church did that. There you can go and read to the children at the schools. They need math skills, reading skills, English skills. This is where it needs to happen. And those first 3-4 years are very critical. And when people talk about the school system, our school system is a good school system. Sure, we have challenges. Sure, we need to improve. Every system needs to improve. But we have to work with the students we have, and we have to give them all that we can give, and teach them as much as we can teach them, and reach them as much as we can. And we need the community to come aboard and help us rather than criticizing, rather than talking about what we're not doing. Come aboard and help us. Those schools very badly need help. I'm sure they could use help at Bruce Elementary School, L.H. Williams School, Hartley Elementary School, Birdale Elementary School. We got all these wonderful children who really need the community to come forward and help them and help with reading. Another thing that's very important, parent involvement is crucial to the child's development and academic achievement. And in many of the schools, our parents aren't involved. They would do if they know. Many times they don't know how to get involved. And we need help with them, to encourage them to get involved. Help with building programs for them to understand what it is they need to do. They love their children, and they'll do whatever it is they know to do. But they got to know, and we got to encourage them and tell them what to do and guide them along the way. Because we got great parents in all of our schools, and we want them to get involved because we know it makes a difference to the child. It helps the child to be successful, and it helps the child to achieve. So if community people come in and help us, we can get more parents who love their children and don't know quite what to do to help them. Community people can come in and help us with that. So those are some things that the community can do to help. And churches, organizations, all of that. Joining our volunteer program. We got a great volunteer program. We give awards at the end of the year of certain people who put in so many hours at different schools. We have retired teachers also helping with that and gaining hours for helping. It's a good, wonderful feeling to be able to go into those schools and to help our children to achieve. And that's what everybody can do to help. It doesn't have to always be money, but it can just be a little time.
Yeah. Now let me ask a question. So there is a specific process. So even like a small business, I mean, you don't have to be a real large business or a real large church or a real large organization or a real large fraternity or a real large institution, you know, to be involved. So you can, an individual can volunteer.
Just one person.
Yeah, but I'm talking about adopting a school. Is every school in Bibb County adopted? Has somebody adopted every school?
I can't answer that because I really don't know. I'm sure.
So can more than one entity adopt a school?
Sure.
Yeah. So even if they are, even if it's already been adopted by somebody, they can use the extra help.
Because my church is helping B.S. Ingram, but then there are some college students also helping with the school. So that doesn't matter about how many entities. The more help, the better. Organized help, going through the system on where to go and who needs what. So anybody can do it. It doesn't matter. We're not looking at what everybody else is doing. We're looking at what we can do as an individual to help that school. But I want to mention something else that's happening with our school system. We have Hutchins Career Center on Riverside Drive. In the past years, it has been a high school. And they have high school graduations. We have graduations. And that's a wonderful school, and they've done wonderful things. But we have voted now to make that school become a program. And now that it's becoming a program, we will end the graduations per se. And that school will be a program whereby students will come from their schools, like it used to be a long time ago. You go to your individual home school, and you go to that school for vocational skills. And these young people have done a tremendous job. The leaders of Hutchins County have done a wonderful job. And the coordinator for The program has done a good job with the kids. Now we have voted that that is a program. Good things happen there. These children can get college credit. They can get credential certification and their diploma. And now they can go over there and spend hours learning and training, getting vocational skills, and going out, they can get a job, or they can go on to college. And this is a wonderful thing for them. Our school system is excited about that. And we also voted to move that program onto Anthony Road in the building there. And we're going to renovate the downstairs so that we can have all the space we need to accommodate the students who are coming from there. These young people will go into their own schools where they're from, where they live. This year, though, those students who are now in seniors, juniors, who are close to graduating, they can decide which one they prefer to do because they're so close to graduation.
They can go and take some kind of trade at the program. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm saying is those who they can do two things. They can go back to their home school, graduate from their home school, go over there during the day and take classes for whatever it is they wish to take classes in.
Vocational classes?
Yes. And you I guess you call them vocational or career classes, they call them now.
Right.
Career path.
Right.
They can take a career there. And so now they don't go over there all day and graduate from there. They're going to graduate from their own home school.
I understand.
Because now it's a program which offers 2 hours or more, whatever they need, and they go back to their home school and they graduate from their home school. So
well,
this
let me ask you, we're about to run out of time. Where can one find out more information about all of these initiatives and what have you? Just go to the website?
Website is great because there's a lot of information on the website. I'm so sorry I don't have the website. Information is shared.
With Google, you can find a website for the Bibb County Board of Education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the Bibb County Board of Education website, and you'll find much information there. You could go to the welcome, and it takes you into other areas. It has everything there you need to find apartments and all of this. Go to that website. And you can always call the Board of Education and ask for information, and they can direct you to the person who can help you, whatever you need help with.
This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham. I want to extend my gratitude to Dr. Thelma Dillard, for her interest and her participation and her dream to serve as the president of the Bibb County Board of Education.